What a mess. What have you done to yourself, young man? This is a very dangerous place for a lonely man like you. But worry not. Nature, Father, will protect you. And soon, you will be home like many others.
So it's the Steam Next Fest, a little sort of festival on Steam akin to what you have with the Key 3, with Summer's Games Fest, the showcases that you guys have seen. This one, though, is fully on Steam, and this allows PC developers and developers who are going to be putting their games on other platforms to release demos for their upcoming titles. And one of the games that did catch my eye was Testament: The Order of the High Human. It is an upcoming action-adventure RPG in the first person. Quick look at the trailer. You can see there are various forms of combat in melee with a sword, from a distance with a bow with various different types of arrows, or using different elements of magic for different effects for both protection and harm to your enemies. Alongside these bits of combat, the trailer also showcased a bit of platforming and puzzle solving, utilizing wall running, timed jumps from spinning and moving platforms, as well as a bit of various puzzles that you do actually need to solve to progress through various locked doors. So, judging from the trailer, I thought I would love this game. I'm always looking for a great first-person combat sim game and immersive sim game, particularly with fantasy or medieval weaponry, harkening back to my long-running love affair with Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, and those first few titles from Arcane Studios, such as Arc Fatalis. You know, these tedious, albeit fully freeform games that you can just go through however you like, stealthily or full frontal combat if you choose. So, I went into the demo thinking that maybe that magic would have been recaptured for me from those early Arcane days, but alas, it was not. Combat in Testament is more akin to a hack and slash. You have some basic combos utilizing your fast attacks and your heavy attacks, as well as a dodge. That's about it. Dodge enemy attack, slash 2, 3, 4 times. Interrupt the enemy's momentum to stop their attack to attack a few more times. Dodge enemy attack, repeat the process. That about sums up melee combat, at least in the early portion of the game that we are given access to in the demo. Bow combat early on is also extremely limited. Your quiver does only hold 12 arrows, and they can't be recovered from bodies or the environment if it misses or hits. So its usage is extremely limited, even at times when it's needed. When there are ranged enemies perched on overlooks, an arrow to the face does not necessarily mean death for your humanoid enemies. Sometimes they just kind of shrug it off and throw their ball of glowing excrement at you or keep charging you. No indication of a helmet or anything as to why the arrow protruding from their eye socket didn't work. As it hit its target, it just didn't. Magic in the demo was extremely limited as well, at least the points until I played up to. You gain access to the element of life magic. You can create a barrier that will absorb damage for you for a short period of time. Good for soaking up some boss damage or mobs of enemies damage, or shoot out a small little laser-like Gatling attack that really just didn't do much damage and just kind of used up all of your magic energy in the game. Now, I understand that it is wholly my fault. I went into the demo believing that I'd get the second coming of Arc Fatalis for Dark Messiah, that I would be able to sneak up to enemies and kick them off cliffs into environmental hazards, destroying structures and collapsing them onto them. That's all on me. None of this was present in the trailer. The trailer did not lie at all about what it was. There is some stealth elements to the game, but not much there, not much akin to an immersive sim that you would expect. So while combat was a bit disappointing and bland to me, it is a competent hack and slash title with ranged and magic thrown into it. I'm sure it only takes off as more skills and spells become available to the player, and unfortunately for me was just not my thing. However, one place where the demo really did shine for me was the first-person platforming and puzzles. These puzzles themselves, at least in the demo, were just simple enough. They were just reflecting a beam of light from its life source to a gem to power a door. You'd be able to swap between various specific mirrors, move them left or right along a path, or rotate them to help direct the light beam from its source to where it needs to go. Nothing super new, but serviceable and a good change of pace from the combat in my book. Then you also did have the platforming segments. These were the highlight for me, navigating the 3D world in first person for these light environmental puzzles, activating nodes to trigger the next portion of the platforming puzzles. These include needing to time your jumps to avoid being yeeted into oblivion by a rotating platform, jumping onto moving platforms, or positioning yourself so that a rotating structure won't drop you off into the void below. These portions really stood out as fun to me, and for some reason the demo was also launching my Steam VR mode and trying to get me to use my index, so at some point in the future, perhaps the game will be launching in VR, which would really make the game much more exciting in the combat area for me, and much more nauseating in the platforming area at least. Also, the game is a Metroidvania, so new powers and items that you do unlock will allow you to go back, which you can use fast travel points to go back to previous areas before and get to previously inaccessible zones, so that'll be neat. Metroidvanias are always fun. Aside from this, there is a little light leveling system. There are 3 main categories you can put your skill points into. You have your melee combat, range combat, and magic combat, and sometimes they kind of interact with one another, giving you a combination of both. So from unlocking new combos with your melee attacks, to faster bow draw times, to new spell interactions, that's all present as you level up. Like I said, the combat as it currently is just isn't for me. It's rather basic and more akin to just the normal hack and slash than akin to like what I was expecting or looking forward in something like Dark Messiah or Arc Fatalis or Dishonored or Prey, something like that. And it is fully my own fault of that. The platforming was definitely a highlight throughout the demo though, and definitely has potential to carry the game for me at least. Like I said, it's not a bad game, it's just not for me. It definitely is, it's decent to look at. The voice acting, it's an indie game, so the voice acting, you're getting some indie quality games. I feel like the voice actors could have spoken in their native languages and just threw in some subtitles and it would have been much, much better. So honestly, if the game launches with a native voice pack for the voice actors, I would use that and just turn on subtitles. I think that would be much better for the theme of the story that is going on. Anyways, depending on the price at launch, it could definitely be a title worth checking out. It launches on July 13th, and if there is indeed a VR mode, like Steam is telling me that there is, I'll check it out then. That or Steam VR is just lying to me. It definitely looks to be shaping up to be a strong second title for the developer, Fairy Ship Games. It is a huge detour from their prior title, which was a horror stealth puzzle game, Shame Legacy. So, if you were into Shame Legacy, and what Fairy Ship Games brought to that title, you probably could be into this game, because they do both share some puzzle-solving skills, but it is a huge departure from what they previously did make.